We're back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sponsored Content. This is Spawn Storytime, episode number 3. Today we'll be covering Spawn issue number 3. And before we get into that, I want to do a quick recap of the last episode, issue number 2. We had our introduction to the Violator, who continued his side mission of destroying mobster NPCs. Spawn discovers that he has a wife. He's on a mission to find her. And during his mission, he wants to transform into his old self, so he transforms actually into Patrick Swayze. So we get more details about Spawn's boss, CIA Director Jason Wynn, how big of a jerk-off he is, how evil he is. Spawn then falls off of a building, and he meets the Violator, and now it's about to be on like Donkey Kong. So I made some more minor adjustments to audio and screen capture. We're going to return to the 2-page layout. I think that presents better visually. It's a little more difficult, I think, to create content in that way, but I think it just looks a little bit better on the screen. So we're going to stick with the 2-page layout, and here we're going to take a look at issue number 3. The issue number 3 was released August 1st, 1992. This issue continues the Question story arc. This is part 3. We have in issue number 3 first appearances of Terry Fitzgerald, who was Spawn's best friend and partner to some degree in the military. Cyan Fitzgerald, who is Terry and Wanda's daughter, and Shanna, which is actually Spawn's dog. And I just mentioned that because I really like dogs, so I think it's nice that Spawn has a dog. It's a bit more of human aspect of him. All right, so let's jump into issue number 3. All right, so first, Wanda. Finally, Spawn remembers his wife's name. It has been bothering him for at least a couple days. He was chilling in the dumpster. But he can recall his wedding. He remembers Wanda's grandma, Grandma Blake, how she was pissed because, Wanda wasn't going to take Al's last name. So Spawn's starting to get like more memories at a quicker pace now. And so now that he knows his wife's name, he at least has something to go off of. But since it's been 5 years since he was dead, he's not even sure if she's alive or what's going on with her. But that's his mission still, just to find his wife. Next page, Spawn looking pretty sweet. He says he misses everyone. He misses his family. He wants to see his mom and dad and his siblings. He says he doesn't even know if he has a life anymore. Then he kind of thinks about the Violator and wonders if the Violator has information. He obviously knew what Spawn was or what his name was or that he was a Hellspawn. But Spawn basically doesn't have time for the Violator right now. His main focus is trying to find his wife, which he thinks he can do by breaking into his old workplace at the CIA because they got information on everyone. So he thinks if I can just go look up information on my wife, boom, I'll be able to find her, easy peasy. And then he can, deal with everything else once he's found her. All right, next page, Spawn, again, looking badass, kind of the full frontal shot here, just looking like kind of emo, kind of like, I don't really care, but I've got all these problems, so I'm going to look over this way. But once he's found his wife, he's going to find the asshole that's put him in this position, which is basically the devil Malebolgia. And so he thinks that, he's obviously made this really shitty deal. He just wanted to see his wife, and like, you can have my soul, but he didn't realize he was going to come back looking like a baked potato, with a really poor complexion and like no memories, and so he's still pretty pissed. He wants to find his wife, and we're continuing on. All right, here, Malebolgia, like I said, always kind of cracking up. Everything's so hilarious. And he just thinks it's funny that Spawn wants to challenge him because obviously at this point, Malebolgia is pretty much in control of the situation. So he's just yucking it up. He's like, dude, I've dealt with people like you before, and I've locked you into a deal. Like, our legal department is so well funded down here. You're not getting out of this deal. Like, I got your soul one way or another. So, kind of just bring it. All right, next page. We're really like right in hell now. It's looking kind of gnarly. And Malebolgia just kind of goes on and on with this really awesome like lettering. That essentially he's explaining to Spawn that you were picked specifically because you were so awesome at killing and you didn't care, and we need to build an army down here because we're about to have a battle. So you were so awesome at being bad. We want you on our team. We brought you here to make you a warrior, to lead an army, and you've been selected. So we don't really care if you want to do this at this point or not. Again, you didn't read the fine print. All right, now, so we have Sam and Twitch, and they're at the office, and Sam's upset because they're buried under so many reports. They're really not getting anything done. They're not out on the street. They're not cracking skulls. You know, that's kind of Sam's style. I really like the cigarette smoke artwork in these illustrations, though, just as an aside. I think it's amazing. But he's just kind of pissed because the people who are on the task force aren't really solving anything. They're not really allowed to get close enough to solve anything. And these mobsters are, you know, getting their hearts ripped out. So whoever's responsible is someone kind of powerful and kind of sick. And, you know, Sam just wants this person to be brought to justice because he's still a good cop at heart, but his methods are maybe questionable at times. And then we see the Violator at the bottom, sort of bebopping along. If you recall from the last episode, there was sort of a cliffhanger where we thought there was going to be like this epic battle right away, but that hasn't happened yet. So he's just kind of like, you know, kicking it and walking through the alleyways, probably getting all prepped up to fight Spawn later. Spawn has made his way to the CIA headquarters in New York, where he has access to these files to find out where his wife, if she is alive, where she is living. So he was able to get this file, but while he's there gathering information, he sees this gentleman who he probably knows from previously, but he's kind of being a creeper and a perv, and he's like sexually harassing the secretary. So again, you know, Spawn's not really down with this sort of behavior. So he yoinks this dude up and he's like, you know, listen to me, you piece of shit. I heard you don't pay your alimony and you don't pay your child support. So if you keep screwing around, like if I have to come back here, particularly if I have to come back here because you're putting hands on your secretary, like it's going to be OV. And then he drops the dude and he's like, you know, they always said you were scum, Billy. And he's like, oh my gosh, like, who are you? How do you know my name? And then we see Malebolgia at the bottom, and this is great because Malebolgia really wants Spawn to turn violent because it fuels his army by, you know, it makes Spawn evil in a way. And then if Spawn actually kills people and, you know, these are bad people, like then they're going to go to hell and they'll become part of the army too. So if Spawn goes too far, you know, in this direction, he's actually just helping Malebolgia out. And that's kind of sort of the rock and the hard place that Spawn finds himself in. Here, Spawn is reading the file on his wife. You know, he's finding out where she lives, and which is in Queens, and he's not really sure why she would be there when, you know, her family was in Staten Island, but he's continuing to read, and he's like having almost like a panic attack, you know, sort of blackout. He sees information, he just can't take it. And now we see Queens, and this is where his wife lives, Wanda Blake. Spawn, he knows that he wants to go see her, so he's like, I'm going to turn back into the only person I know how to be. He's going to play that funky music, and he's going to turn into this white dude. Again, Patrick Swayze from Point Break is essentially who he is now. So he thinks that this is better than trying to see his wife, you know, in Spawn form, because at least in this form, he might be able to get a conversation started. Whereas before, he might not even be able to make it to her doorstep without, you know, the police being called. So Spawn is like really nervous to go up to the door and knock to see his wife. So he's feeling kind of like a kid again, like he's in high school and he's like going on a date or something. So then he rings the bell, and then Wanda opens the door, and she is smoking. Like, she couldn't have opened the door in any worse of a way for him in this moment, probably, because she looks fantastic. She looks like she's going to like a movie premiere or the Oscars or something. And he's just like, damn, like I forgot who I am and why I'm here. So he makes up some BS about what's going on, and we see his dog there. So he's like, well, I gotta make up a story. So he says he's basically with the SPCA, and they're going around the neighborhood checking on the dogs and whatnot. And then he hears and sees her daughter, Cyan. And this is our first introduction to Cyan. And she's around about 1 year old, and she comes running up. She's like, mommy, mommy. And I guess she's 15 months. But he realizes in this moment that she has a child, and they had wanted to have children and had been trying to have children. And obviously, you know, Spawn was sterile, and he wasn't giving her a child. So this hits him super hard. You know, he just blacked out recently. He's blacking out again. Like, Spawn just can't handle what, you know, this information that he's getting right now. So he passes out for like the 13th time. And when he comes to, he realizes that everything in the file was true, that his homie, Terry Fitzgerald, married his wife, that now they have a child together, which was something Spawn wanted to have and that he couldn't have. And now they have that. So it's been 5 years. He wakes up like his wife is now married to his best friend, and they have a child. So you can imagine, you know, how heart-wrenching this is. So Spawn, he's on the couch. He's kind of coming to again. He's looking like Patrick Swayze, basically. So Terry's like, hey man, can we call your wife? Can we call someone? Spawn says, I don't have a wife anymore. And they're like, damn, that sucks. Like, I wish there was something we could do. And he's like, yeah, me too. I don't even understand why I lost her. And then he just kind of, Spawn coming to grips with the fact that his wife is here and she's as hot as ever. And his best friend has married her and given her a child. And Spawn's like hell on earth. He's in a living nightmare. So, he loves Wanda so much. That's why he came back. Like, right, that's the whole idea of this series is like Spawn came back for love. It's just a love story wrapped in, trappings of hell. And so he loves Wanda so much. He wants her to be happy. He's like, I'm going to dip out. I don't want to invade your privacy and your space. I don't want to mess with you guys. At least right now I got a lot of shit going on and I'm just going to leave. And then, of course, here as night falls, his pain is just excruciating. He's screaming, no, he's getting in a tizzy. He's getting all worked up. Like, he's getting pissed at Malebolgia. He's like, why are you torturing me? Like, if you just want my soul, just take my soul. Really getting tired of this. Like, I just want to hang out with my wife, Netflix and chill. Like, we can't do that. Now my best friend is with her. Like, that's torturous. And, he's getting all worked up to fight Malebolgia. And here he's kind of like really taking it to heart that he wasn't able to produce a child, and he is just really amped up to fight Malebolgia. That's, he's getting all pissed off, and then right on cue, we have Violator show up in the sweet-ass Image Comics t-shirt, and, this is a sweet transformation of the Violator here, going from human clown form into his true form, and he's like, dude, when you were a mercenary, like, you weren't the best person, so I'm not really great either. We probably would have had a lot of laughs together. So Spawn, this is really not the best time to pick a fight with him, but this is what the Violator wants. So and now we have the Violator and Spawn sort of squaring up for their showdown. And then Violator just like reaches in, literally rips Spawn's heart out. Like it had been ripped out, figuratively and emotionally prior to this, but he just, reaches over, yoinks his heart out. He was like, damn, that was super simple. And Violator thinks everything's pretty much over at this point. So he says, I live to serve the master. I don't even know why you wasted time on this dude. Like, he's supposed to be grand and, like, have all these powers. And this was pretty simple. Yanked his heart out. Easy peasy. And then Violator turns to walk away. Spawn, on the ground, looking all dead. And Violator stops. He hears his name. He goes to turn around. And here we see this badass shot of Spawn. He says, who said anything about being human? So Spawn's got this big gaping green hole in his chest where his heart used to be, and the Violator's holding it in his hand, still pumping, and Spawn's got like sort of a fire hand going on. So things are just getting started, basically. Next issue, all hell breaks loose on Earth, probably a continuation of this epic battle. So that was Spawn issue number 3. The newscasters were notably absent for the first time in this issue. But we will continue on with issue number 4 in the next episode. Again, thanks for stopping by. This is Spawn Storytime. I am your host. I gotta find a way to end these things. See ya.